I had a problem, too many strategies from my quants to review, so I flipped it. I defined clear acceptance criteria, my rules for what counts as valid, tested, and deployable. Now, every time they commit code, WizGPT checks it automatically at the logic, risk, and guardrail level. Only strategies that pass both code and backtests move forward. This way, no bad strategy ever reaches trading, and that's why we built the WizGPT Acceptance Pipeline. Here's how it works end to end: policy model, static precheck, backtest slice, policy evaluation, WizGPT feedback, iterate, gate. A conveyor belt where strategies get checked and are tested, explained, and only promoted when they pass. Here is how an advisor can actually create a policy in Wizzer. The advisor starts a new acceptance model. WizGPT suggests guardrails like code validation, signal logic, and risk controls. The advisor then defines the criteria: entry and exit rules, backtest thresholds, compliance, even kill switch settings. Once saved, the model is versioned and listed, ready to guide every strategy downstream. Now let's see how the system actually uses this policy layer. The policy model. Every advisor has a policy model. It's just JSON or OPA/Rego with clear rationales and tags: conservative, intraday, options. Everything is versioned. Everything is auditable. Before a single backtest runs, we pass the strategy code into an AST or CFG. We lint for look-ahead bias, martingale, or averaging down, missing SL/TP, leverage caps, time of day gates, hygiene checks, reproducibility flags, and prohibited APIs. If the code has unsafe patterns, we catch them here. Next is the backtest slice. We collect a full evaluation vector: drawdown, turnover, heat, slippage, borrow costs, latency, compliance flags. Then comes the policy evaluator. Thresholds are applied: maximum drawdown, daily loss, gross leverage, margin, symbol weights, correlation, gap risk. Deterministic checks give us a simple result: pass or fail. This is where WizGPT steps in and acts as both analysis engine and repair agent. Using the advisor's policy, the findings from static and metric lints, the exact code spans, and the triggered metrics, WizGPT produces structured feedback in strict JSON. Each issue comes with a rule ID, severity, the precise location in the code, why it matters, and a suggestion to fix it. Unlike a vague warning, WizGPT often provides a minimal diff patch you can paste directly into your code. This makes fixes fast, consistent, and safe. For example, at pairs.py lines 142 to 153, WizGPT may detect that no stop loss is defined for a sell leg. It not only points this out but also suggests adding a stop market order with a 0.6% floor. By combining clear evidence with ready-to-apply changes, WizGPT turns raw checks into actionable guidance, speeding up iteration and enforcing policy compliance. Simple, safe, actionable. From here it becomes a loop. Commit, pre-check, backtest, evaluate, WizGPT feedback, revise. Only when you reach policy pass can your strategy promote to paper or live. We begin with the strategy code as it enters the acceptance pipeline. The first step is parsing. The code is converted into an abstract syntax tree or AST, which maps out its structure in branches of functions, loops, and variables. Next, we run lint scans across every branch of this AST. These rules look for risky or disallowed patterns, such as missing stop/limit orders, martingale, or averaging down logic, time of day gates, improper parameter bounds, or prohibited calls like time.sleep and raw sockets. At this stage, the process pauses for a decision. Did any violations occur? If yes, A red flag node is raised, pointing directly to the file and line span where the issue lives. That branch is blocked, preventing the code from moving forward. If no violations are found, the branch is marked clean and allowed to flow to the next stage, the backtest. In essence, static AST lints act as a safety filter. They catch structural risks before the code can even be executed, ensuring only safe strategies make it to testing or live runs. Metrics lints. We start with the backtest outputs. First, we run threshold checks, drawdown, daily loss, leverage, margin, exposure, weekend overnight holding, borrow fees, slippage, and gap risk. Then we move to statistical smell tests. HHI for concentration, regime overfit, trade clustering, path dependence, and multiple hypothesis risk. If anything trips a rule, we raise red flags and send them forward as findings. If all clear, the strategy passes to the next stage. Together, they give a complete deterministic safety net. WizGPT analyzes the trader's input and the generated code to see if it matches the criteria of the acceptance model selected at the start. This check is guided by a carefully designed system prompt. You are the acceptance reviewer. Map policy, checks, findings, attach spans and metrics, propose minimal safe patches. If all criteria are met, WizGPT gives a clear thumbs up. If not, it lists every issue found, explains why it matters, and suggests what to change to meet the acceptance criteria. Once the fixes are applied, the commit button is enabled. When a strategy is committed, it receives a commit ID, pre-checks then run to confirm if conditions for backtest are satisfied. If they pass, WizGPT gives a thumbs up and the backtest button is enabled. If they fail, issues are listed again for the trader to fix before recommitting. This cycle repeats until all criteria are met and the backtest can run. Once backtests are triggered, WizGPT reviews the results and gives feedback. Only if the backtests are positive can the strategy be promoted to paper or live. If not, WizGPT highlights what must change and the process loops again. At every step, governance rules apply. Only authorized roles can promote strategies, and every action is logged as part of the audit trail. Here's the minimum build order, the core foundation we start with: policy JSON engine, static precheck, metrics precheck, WizGPT feedback composer, trader check UI, advisor, builder UI, gating and audit trail, patch up live with tests, optional fine tune on curated examples. Concrete example: rule, disallow averaging down, static detector, size increases when unrealized PNL 0, at function increase size on loss. Feedback: replace additive sizing with volatility scaled entries, bounded by risk per trade, patch attached, and best of all, no engine fork is required. Instead of changing the core engine, the acceptance system just listens in. A custom result handler collects outputs from runs and adds the acceptance status. A lightweight Wizzer runner connects to Lean and shares results both with the engine and with the acceptance pipeline. This way, all checks and gating happen in parallel without disrupting the engine itself. Acceptance you can trust, guidance you can apply. Turn on WizGPT acceptance in settings, compliance and QA. Start with your policy, run pre-check, and ship only policy pass strategies to paper or live. Wizzer, solving for advisors.